What the fuck did DDP just say? What the hell is going on in his mind right now? I don't know if you guys saw this, but the interview he did the other day was a little bit on the disturbing side. Essentially what it boils down to is that he said that he would be willing to kill a man in front of his family if there was no ref to pull him off in order to obtain victory. What do you guys think is behind this mentality? Let me know in the comments. Is Dricus Du Plessis an absolute psychopath? Is he trying to hype himself up for the fight? Is he trying to sell more pay-per-views? Or is there something in there? The monster, the savage, that really would be willing to kill a man in front of his family in order to obtain victory. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. And before I get into it, if you wouldn't mind hitting the like button, hitting the subscribe button, helps with the YouTube algorithm, helps grow the channel. He said that if there was no ref there, he'd be willing to kill a man in front of his family. Now, DDP legitimately seems like a good dude. You know what I mean? Like, last time he fought Sean Strickland, he got to a point where he was kind of making fun of the fact that his dad used to beat him, things like that. And then he kind of backed off of it a little bit, right? Strickland backed off the trash talk, and so did DDP. And I kind of think that was a mistake. You know, in the last fight he made Izzy cry too. Apparently that's his thing. I was watching one of Chael's episodes, this was a while ago, and he did a little bit of digging and found out like Dricus has made people cry like when he was on the regional scene a lot of times before that. So like that's his thing, and it'd be interesting to see if he could make like Chimaev cry or Imavov cry or any of these other guys, right? But it's interesting because you know he does have like from a showman's perspective, he could play the villain so well, like the crazy heartless villain. But he's a good dude, right? And so like after that, he just kind of shook hands with Strickland, shook hands with Izzy, and it's like okay, you know. We're both warriors, we're both out here to put on a show, and he kind of backed away from that, right? But I honestly think from like a marketing and dollars perspective, he could truly step into that sort of bad guy villain role from South Africa and really kind of run away with it, right? So, but he hasn't done that. Which is why I'm not necessarily buying that. I think this is more of a, you know, when he was giving that interview, it was more of, what's the word I'm looking for here? It's not a pun. It's like, he's trying to describe like what he is willing to do to achieve victory, right? Like he's willing to go through hell. Like Israel Adesanya said this, you know, in his rise, that he'd be willing to die in the octagon in order to achieve his dreams, right? Like I'd be willing to kill a man in order to achieve my dreams. Like most of the time, people don't actually believe that, right? It's more like, you know, they're speaking about something. It's in order to illustrate like how badly they want it. That being said, you never know, right? And certainly these guys at the highest level do have that capability in the martial arts space. But most of the time, when people are in that mindset, right? You look at you know, Dustin Poirier, you look at a lot of the Khalil Roundtree, you look at a lot of these other guys, like they hit a guy, the guy can't defend themselves, right? And they stop. And they all say, they're like, oh, hey, you know what? I want this guy to be able to go home to his family, right? We're warriors, we're fighters, we put our bodies and our minds and everything on the line in order to achieve our dreams, and unfortunately that comes with us having to stop somebody else's dreams, right? But at the end of the day, we all want each other to go home safely to their families, you know, with nothing but respect. Like that's what I would say is the most, how most people see it, right? And if you look at people like Islam Makhachev or even Khabib, right? There are like other levels to this, right? In his last fight, and again, you don't know if this is true, but this is kind of the, at least what the legend says, right? Is that he had Justin Gaethje in a position where he could have broken his arm, right? Like, if you remember the end of that first round, he had it in a position where he could have gotten the armbar, right? But he's like, you know what, I'll let it go because his parents are here. I don't want to hurt him in front of his family, right? And then he goes and he puts him to sleep with a triangle. And apparently there have been other situations like that, you know, with, what's his name? With Michael Johnson, right? Where he could have broken his arm, but he's like, look, you've got to give up. I don't want to hurt you. Like, I don't want to ruin your career. Or when Islam Makhachev was fighting Dan Hooker. And Khabib was like, careful, Islam. Like, don't rush. Basically give him a chance to tap. Because the submission he had him in can, like, ruin his career. Right? So there's so many of these examples from those guys who, like, really, they want to show that they're the absolute best, but they want to do it in a way where it doesn't actually hurt their opponents too badly, right? You know, and when it's all said and done, they're shaking hands, they're showing respect, they're like, yeah, brother, right? But if you look at it, you know, Izzy, on the other hand, he said he'd be prepared to die in the octagon. So Masvidal, he's like, yeah, all my shots are super necessary because I got to keep hitting him until the ref pulls me off. That's my job, right? You have Dricus, who's come out and put it a step further. He said, if there is no ref there to pull me off, I would be willing to kill a man in front of his family in order to achieve victory, right? Do whatever is necessary to achieve victory. So it's interesting. It's interesting the different mentalities that people have. Now, do I think Dricus would really go ahead and do that? I really don't. You know what I mean? He just doesn't seem like that kind of guy. He seems like a good guy with a good heart who, like, he's ready to step into the trash talk. If someone's giving it to him, he's ready to give it back. You know what I mean? And all of these things. But I just don't see him as the guy to, you know, show no mercy, right? I think Strickland would be someone who would show no mercy. That's what I think. I think Strickland would be a guy who would show no mercy. But I don't see that from Dricus. Like, and I do think he could step into that villain character so well. But because he's good, he seems like such a genuine good dude. Like, I don't know, that him saying that just seems out of character. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that this is out of character for Dricus? Do you think this is kind of on point? Do you think he would really be willing to kill a guy in front of his family in the octagon? I don't know, right? I don't know if I buy that, just because of the other things that he's shown us. But that being said, if this is what he needs to do and what he needs to tell himself in order to just get that fire in him to win a fight, to get mentally prepared, whatever the case may be, then yeah, okay, like I see that, right? But yeah, like I said, I just find it interesting how you can have these different spectrums, right? Where you have someone like Islam Makhachev or Khabib who, like, would go out of their way not to do too much damage to their opponent so that they could fight another day. You know, and you have people like Khalil Roundtree who, like, won't follow up on shots because he knows the guy is done. And then you have the opposite of someone who would keep smacking a guy until the ref pulls them off, right? Showing no mercy. So it's interesting. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. I want to thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.